This was an interesting game tonight because the Knicks picked up a win over the Celtics, but it sort of felt like a loss because in the fourth quarter they outscored us 38-18. Obviously, I'll take the win. Now with a 2-game lead over Cleveland, you have to imagine that the 3 seed at minimum is going to be where the Knicks land. But the end of this game was definitely just a team that didn't have anything to play for. The Knicks were up 31. The Celtics at one point cut it to, what was it, 8 points or 7? I don't remember if it was 7 or 8. The game just got over with, but it just was not a good fourth quarter. But when the starters were in, the Knicks looked like a much better team. I get the Celtics are the 1 seed, that can't change, so they definitely weren't playing 100%, but that still doesn't take away from Jalen Brunson putting together 39 points on 15 of 23 shooting, 6 of 11 from the three-point line. If Brunson had made his final free throw at the end of the third quarter, he would have had 40 points, and he would have joined Melo as the only Knick to score 5 straight 40-point games. But I mean, that's still 6 straight 35-plus point games. Jalen Brunson has established himself as easily, in my opinion, the best point guard in the East. He's established himself as an all first team player. It's going to be interesting because there is no positions anymore. So Shea, you'd have to imagine, is going to make it, and Luka, but Brunson should be there. We know Jokic is going to make it. It'll be cool to see who makes it, the 5th one there. But OG in this game was 5 of 10 from the field, 2 of 3 from 3. You can see that he's getting healthier and he's starting to find his shot. His first game back, of course, didn't shoot well, but ever since then, like the past 2 games, OG's been phenomenal. We know what he brings with his defense. Hartenstein played 33 minutes at 11 points, 13 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 blocks, and a steal. He continues to show why he is the starting center and why the Knicks are just a better team with him out there. No knock against Mitch. He's great as well, who we'll get into him a little bit later. But Hartenstein, the Knicks, when he's the starter, have an elite record. They're at their best. I mean, this is the 5 best players on the Knicks, obviously outside of Julius Randle. And this unit is just so unbeatable. I mean, the Knicks are now 18-3 with OG in the lineup. Josh Hart was amazing. 32 minutes, which is low for him, of course. He had been playing the most minutes since the All-Star break. 16 points, 16 rebounds, 5 assists. If Hart's shot ends up coming back, the Knicks are going to be extremely dangerous. I mean, Hart on the season, he hasn't really... Hart did start off shooting well, but of course those minutes are definitely going to catch up to you, and the hustle that he does. He's shooting just 31% from 3, 43 from the field. But if Hart can get that from 35 to 40 in the playoffs from 3, because he's going to get a lot of open looks for teams just trying to get Brunson and DiVincenzo to not shoot the ball. I mean, the Knicks are going to be in a great spot. And yeah, DiVincenzo played 41 minutes. It didn't really make a lot of sense how the Knicks were up 31 and he was still in the game. Same with Hartenstein, but he did end up finishing the game well. Not to say that he was bad to start it off with, but going into the fourth quarter, he had his 1-3, and then he knocked down a couple more. 17 points, 4 assists, 4 boards, 7 of 15 from the field. And then in terms of our bench, not exactly the prettiest. I mean, Miles McBride was 1 of 6 from the field. It sucks because McBride had been shooting the ball so well, but ever since he moved to the bench, when OG came back, his shot definitely has been off. And he was a -9. And then you've got Precious Achiuwa, who was also a -9. He did have 5 rebounds, but 1 of 6 from the field. Mitchell Robinson looked good, 2 of 3 from the field, 4 boards, had a steal. He continues to get himself back into just sort of game shape. And then Bogdanovic was 14 points, 6 of 10 from the field, 25 minutes. It seemed like, honestly, Bojan, he should have gotten the ball more. I feel like he has a lot to offer the Knicks, and there was a couple of times where I thought they should have swung it to him, or he was open in the corner and the Knicks decided to not do it. So they definitely need to get this guy more involved because he is one of the best shooters in the NBA. But really what this game came down to was just Jalen Brunson's greatness. I mean, the guy is putting together one of the best seasons in Knicks history. He continues to go out there and do it on good efficiency. He's also getting his guys involved. Brunson had 4 assists. In the first quarter, he only had 6 points. I say only 6 points. I mean, that's still 6 points. But for Brunson, I mean, this guy is going out there and just setting the league on fire. He's torching it. And he's been doing it with everything. He had 3 charges drawn in this game. We know what he brings, of course, with his scoring, his efficiency, moving the ball around, did grab a couple of the rebounds. Brunson, 30 minutes, 39 points. It just doesn't get better than that. He was awesome in this game, just unstoppable, the best player. We've seen Brunson go up against Giannis and go up against Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and he just finds a way to outplay them and to go out there and to win the game. I mean, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, I mean, both these guys, you take their points combined, it was still lower than Jalen Brunson, and not to mention Brunson had much better efficiency. And Porzingis was 5 of 12. The Knicks starters against the Celtics starters, it wasn't even close. It was night and day. The only reason the Celtics made this game close was because Peyton Pritchard was 7 of 13. Sam Hauser was 15 points and 5 of 18 shooting, and Mikhailuk scored 9 points and 3 of 5 shooting, 3 of 4 from 3. Those guys kept the Knicks in this game. But in terms of our starting lineup, I mean, this is me being a biased Knicks fan, but I do think we have a better starting 5 than them. Obviously, it's very close, and in the Celtics, like Tatum and Brown are all NBA players, basically. Porzingis, and we know him as a Knicks fans. Derek White and his defense, and Drew Holiday is good. I don't think he's an all-star level player anymore, but he is still really good. One of the best perimeter defenders. But in terms of our starting 5, I think Jalen Brunson this season has had the best year of anyone. I think OG Anunoby with his defense and his shot creating, just ability to win basketball games. Now that I think about it, okay, we don't have a better starting 5. With Randall, I think we would though, because Randall's an all-NBA player. Like if you add in an all-NBA player, then yeah, the Knicks would be. The thing with Randall that doesn't get talked about enough is if you look at his last 18 games, he was averaging 28, 9, and 4 on 54.5% from the field. There's always going to be that concern in the back of people's mind about Randall and his inefficiency in the playoffs, but this just seemed like a different Randall. He had a different mindset. Seemed like he was prioritizing his teammates and winning basketball games, and he just got injured at the worst time. With Randall, I think the Knicks can beat anyone in the NBA. Of course, remember when they were in January, they go out there and they end up going 16-2, and they were blowing teams out of the water, good top tier playoff teams. But of course, Randall is going to miss the entire playoffs, and without him, it's going to be a struggle. But I do think guys are going to be able to step up. I do think that the Knicks can beat anyone in the East, including the Celtics, in a full game series. That's not to say that, oh, the Knicks tonight, they look so good, they won. I mean, this was only our first win of the 4, but I did say that we need to see what the Knicks look like against the Celtics with OG, because that's when the Knicks are at their best. But we'll see very shortly here how the playoffs go, because the final thing that I want to talk about in this video is the schedule. So the Knicks play against the Nets and the Bulls. To me, those are must-win games, and I say that because if the Knicks win both of those games, the Bucks play against OKC and Orlando without Giannis. There's a very high chance that the Bucks lose both of those games. So if the Knicks can win their next 2 games and the Bucks lose, well, the Knicks get the 2 seed. And I know what you're thinking. Well, if you pull up the NBA standings, that's more than likely going to set us up against the Sixers or the Heat. I mean, those teams right now are a game apart. It's probably going to be the Sixers. Would I rather get the 2 seed and play Philly, or would I rather get the 3 seed and play Indiana? To me, I would rather get the 3 seed and play Indiana versus play against Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey. I mean, getting the 2 seed would be awesome, but you have to think matchups at this point. I understand that there's no easy matchup in the NBA playoffs, but I think the Knicks would much better match up with the Pacers than they would against the Sixers, because the Sixers are not a normal 7 seed. Joel Embiid's missed a ton of games this season. He in my opinion would have won MVP if it wasn't for the injury. I mean, the guy's played like 39 games this season, and he's still top 5 in 40-point games, 50-point games, and of course going out there getting a bunch of points and board. I mean, Joel Embiid's going to be an absolute nightmare for the Knicks. Like, if I'm being honest, the one player in the East that would give the Knicks the most trouble, I don't even think it would be Giannis. I think it would be Embiid.